Just gonna take you on a skate with me. Chose the wrong path here. I should have not taken the sidewalk. Hop out. Well, I'm gonna go to a little school track and show you the difference between what happens when somebody learns recreational skating or urban skating on rollerblades versus somebody who's been taught how to speed skate and happens to develop a very good feel for it, a good flow for it, and what that looks like and how you can make that differentiation yourself and understand a couple things that you can apply to your own skating, no matter what kind of skater you are, that will just enhance your experience. That will make commuting on your skates or setting up a trick if you're an aggressive skater, for example, more interesting because you can create easier speed and overall just make you more excited to be on your skates. That's the reason I like to teach. It has nothing to do with creating more speed skaters or trying to convert anybody from one discipline to the next. For me, I really enjoy skating and I want to share that with people. I think if you can be more comfortable on your skates, enjoy that experience a little bit more, then you'll be on the same page as me. It's wet. It rained a lot yesterday, so I have no idea if the track's gonna be dry or not. A little groggy. I don't like skating in traffic, but I'm a little groggy. Haven't had a chance to really wake up too much yet. But here we go. There's a school around here somewhere. Oh, fresh pavement, there it is. That's the stuff. That's nice. I put some windscreens on my 360 camera, some dead cats. Those are the fluffy things that you see wherever the mic is that produce a nice clear sound when there's wind noise, or would otherwise be wind noise when there's wind. I put some little foam guys on my camera and I'm hoping I can get some usable audio out of that, because oftentimes when I do a denoise on my audio for my vocal, I lose the sound of the skates or sounds of cars and those subtleties. So I think this is the school right here. Let's pop in and see. Pretty close to home. There's a lot of decent places to skate in Montreal that are relatively close to where I live. That's nice. Last time I was here, there were puddles on the track, so I anticipate that being a thing again. We'll see. It's not that important. I just need a decent straightaway to show some differences in movement. And yep, there are puddles, but yeah, not too bad. It's decent enough. That'll do, pig. That'll do. This is a decent little track to just put in some easy laps. I'd be kind of afraid to skate fast here because there's some cracks, some humps. The small humps are what get you when you're hauling and you hit a little mini hump in the middle of a turn or something and you don't get good purchase with all your wheels on the ground. It feels like you're on a Rockered frame. So Rockered frames, if you come from hockey, you probably know what that is. If you come from urban, you definitely know what the Rockered frame is. But speed skaters, especially inline skaters, have no idea what Rockered frames are. I didn't at all. And same concept as an ice skate or an ice blade, where you have a nice radius to the wheels. And it's interesting with the newly invented discipline of wizard skating, relatively new, I guess. There is more of a need for these heavy rockers to do really nice transitions and spins and just maintain momentum and flow to the skating. And I skated a 490 rocker recently, and it's so fun. It feels like hockey skates, like ice skates, and you can just kind of whip around, but for speed skating, it is not a good call. The same way that a long track blade, for example, is relatively flat compared to a hockey skate, that's how it kind of feels when you're comparing what a rockered inline skate feels like compared to a speed skate. This is completely flat. All four wheels are on the same level of the frame, and so they should all have contact at the same time on a flat surface. Rockered frame usually means the front two wheels or back two wheels are touching, middle two wheels are touching at a time, and you have essentially the front wheel and the back wheel are a little bit higher off the ground, maybe a millimeter, 2 millimeters. I don't know. I'd have to do the research on that and figure out exactly what it is, but that's, what am I talking about? I came here to teach you. This happens all the time. I came here to teach you the difference between what a traditional rollerblader would do, urban skater, that's a recreation style, would do out the gate. And by out the gate, I mean you got some rollerblades, you've been skating for a few months, and you're starting to feel your flow. And you're watching other skaters, maybe you're skating in a group, and you're starting to pick up some of their movements. And after doing the Big Apple roll, doing the Montreal Rollorama, is what they called it, which was awesome, by the way. The thing I'm picking up when I watch people who don't come from a speed discipline is that the majority of the way they create speed is by dropping things down to the ground. So try to keep the camera the same height off the ground as I show this, and hopefully you'll be able to recognize the hip line going up and down relative to the ground. So it looks something like this. I'll try to find a straight path. So you see the crack or the crease between the pavements, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And I'm exaggerating that a bit to get the point across, but essentially dropping the weight down to push the skate out away from you. So I'm trying to get this skate to go that way. I'm gonna drop my hip line down to the ground and let that push the skate out, out, out. And this is the traditional method for how most recreation, urban, hockey skaters, once hockey skaters start hauling and they get a feel for how to make speed down in position, you don't see it too often, but more on the recreation urban side, the up down. The problem with that is every stroke you have to reset. So as you're letting your weight do the work through the stroke, that's great. That's very efficient and effective. What isn't is what comes next. And that's what people miss with skating often. I'm dropping my weight down here, but then I have to pick it back up here. Drop down here, pick it up here. And by drop down, I don't mean just bend my knees. I'm locking that out and letting the fall of my body weight to the ground push my skate out to the side, because I've created structure for my hip, my knee, my ankle. If I just flop down, for example, and I don't lock in my hip, knee, ankle, and I just drop down, I get this. Nothing happens. My skate doesn't go away from me. But if I lock those out and I drop my hip down, I get forward momentum. Now, as I mentioned, the problem with that is that you have to lift yourself up between every stroke. That means if you do a great job creating easy speed by going like this, now you're very low. You have to pick yourself up to do it again, to get to here, and to here, and to here. So every stroke, you're essentially doing a single leg squat of your body weight. So a calisthenics exercise, if you will, again and again and again and again, of simply going like this over and over and over and over and over. That's what you're doing if you skate traditionally like an urban skater or a recreational rollerblader would do. Now, the suggestion is keep your hips the same height off the ground a bit and try to find the same feeling just rocking side to side. Keep the stability from the hip, knee, and ankle, and let the momentum that you're creating side to side float into the skate under your control and let that push you forward. Start there. Don't worry about outer edges. Don't worry about double push. Don't worry about any of that. Just go from dropping things down to locking your height and flowing a little bit more left-right, like a long track skater would look. That's kind of where, for me, the obvious transition is from traditional rollerblading style to what will eventually be a double push, is locking things in and using the momentum of your flow, this lateral pressure, to create your forward speed. Once you start getting that piece and you can feel that nice rhythmic transition, we call that weight transfer. Once you start feeling that, then you can start incorporating the under push, where you're actually leaning against the skate to create forward speed, forward momentum, acceleration. And that's when the big magic of wheels starts showing up. On the ice, you can't really flick this part of the push because you need to be able to turn the skate aggressively. So you can do it on a hockey skate, but then the conundrum is that the radius is so small, meaning the rocker is so aggressive that the carve slows you down. It doesn't allow the skate to travel under your control and create speed for you. So being able to make the motion of an under push or a double push does not equate to creating speed off of a double push or a motion of a skating. So what I mean by that is, just because I'm whipping my skates around right now, I'm creating zero speed off of that. With big edges, I'm just whipping them around in an S, but I'm not leaning against them with any kind of structure. When I start leaning against them and controlling the angle of my wheels with pressure, then I start getting some speed. It's a little dirty, so hard to show that. Show it on the other side. But then you start getting interesting accelerations per every stroke. Getting down and being able to lean against the skates gives you a lot more forward momentum and easier speed just by knowing how to control where your weight is going and what the wheels are doing underneath you. So, to reiterate, what you're gonna wanna look for when you watch somebody on rec skates or on urban skates, aggressive skates, watch for their hip line and see how much it comes down to the ground as they're going forward. Do they keep their hips like this, stay in the middle, which is also bad. So if the hips stay the same height off the ground and you don't have that lateral transfer, that side to side feeling, then you get kind of the hockey player that doesn't understand how skating works. Just this, just staying in the middle and just bouncing your weight kind of off the walls, but they're skinny, skinny walls. Think about taking those walls and widening them, and that's kind of what you're bouncing off of. Bounce off of that and that and that, and that little travel, that's a weight transfer right there, where you're allowing yourself to take the speed you created from the push and glide on it in a way that your momentum is carried, that you're actually moving forward, that you're not immediately doing something that's ruining that transfer. So that all connects to a side-to-side movement, which would be step 2 in the progression. So the first step is understanding that getting your weight down into the skate is gonna be your natural movement. It's probably what you're already doing. Some speed skaters even do this. Then from there, you wanna keep that same feeling of speed creation, but use lateral flow and leaning into your skate a little more to make it happen. Not so much just dropping things down and picking them up and dropping them down and picking them up. Trying to keep things a little more consistent in the height and lean against that skate and lean against that skate. At the same time, I'm trying to manipulate my wheels to be a little straighter than they want to be. What I mean by that, and this is a key piece that I didn't mention earlier, when you lean into a skate the right way, it'll want to turn for you. You'll get these whips. This is what most urban skaters are exceptional at, being able to hit edges that make them turn. What they're not exceptional at is being able to hit edges that make them go fast. And if you're not a speed skater, you probably never had any reason to learn the difference. But for speed skating, we want to go the fastest, the easiest. So we're taking those hard carves and we're redirecting them. We're not just letting the skate push us around. We're then controlling the direction of the wheels, meaning, am I just letting my ankle kind of lock in and push me around? Or am I doing a little bit of hip movement, hip work to control the direction? And you have to do a little bit of hip work to control that direction. So to elaborate, when you lean against the skate, if you control the direction to be a little straighter than it wants to be, because we know that if you lean against it, it's gonna make you wanna carve, you'll feel it catch. You'll feel a little wall of pressure being created. Then it's your job to control how that wall travels away from your center line. That's what good skating is. Create the wall, control the wall. So create it by leaning against the skate, control the direction of the wheels, a little straighter than they should be, and then using your hip, that's how you regulate the skate traveling away from your body. So, traditional style again, hip opens up, body comes down and up, up, down, up, down, up, down, and the foot is opening up quite a bit to create the speed. Step 2 in the progression, control the direction of your wheels. Keep your hips a little more under control in terms of the height, and then use that side to side feeling more like a long tracker to learn the traditional push. From there, you do that same thing twice per stroke, one to the inner, one to the outer. So I'm leaning this way, controlling the direction, and also leaning that way and controlling the direction. So here, I'm controlling the skate to be a little straighter than it wants to be, and I'm still leaning against it with good structure. And then I repeat that process on the other side. So lean, keep it straighter, control it. Lean, keep it straighter, control it. I do that twice per stroke, one on the under push, one on the regular push. And that's the double push that gives you speed and not just a movement. So that would be my suggestion to start looking for, and I will do a follow-up that is much more in-depth, slow motion, lines on the screen, but I want to make you aware that these things exist and start making your brain think about what you're doing a little bit on skates. And when you're watching other people skate, see if you can pick out some of these pieces that I'm talking about. See if you can see the recreational skater with the more up and down, and it's going to be a little bit more subtle. They'll be more kind of like this, where the hips are dropping a little bit. And then the speed skater, usually speed skaters that are learning will tilt their hips and rock like this, because they know they're not supposed to drop them up and down. So you'll see some rocking like this. And a great speed skater will keep the hips more flat and be able to do what I'm talking about and control the wheels while leaning against the skate. So I hope that sheds a little bit of light on the differences, at least on the surface level. And I went a little bit deeper than I probably wanted to on this first explanation, but I don't think being aware of these things is a bad way to approach it. Just do your best not to try to fix it overnight. Just start looking for these details in other people skating. Start thinking about what the feelings are and ask yourself, am I doing this up and down, or am I getting more of a side-to-side flow? And if I am getting the side-to-side flow, how can I then upgrade that to more of a double push where I'm actually getting speed out of this part of the stroke. Now, if you're on a rocker frame, I mentioned rocker frames earlier, you're not gonna be able to create good speed off that under push. And you're not gonna be able to create great speed off the traditional push either. There's just not enough meat, not enough purchase with the wheels to the ground to really get in to this part and get these angles. But you can do it on a much more conservative scale, thinking about keeping things a little bit closer to you and just try to find that feeling a little bit. But you're never gonna feel amazing in terms of creating speed on big rockered frames. It's just not realistic. So keep that in mind, that even though these things are applicable to pretty much any skate types, they work much better on flat frames than they do on rocker frames. That doesn't mean you can't practice them, be aware of them, and grow your skill set for the future if you decide you want to skate on a flat frame versus a rocker frame. Oh, doing work in the morning. So I really wish I had somebody to just skate in front of me all day so I didn't have to hold this damn selfie stick to make videos like this. It looks so much better when somebody else is filming, I think, for educational stuff like this, but it's just not a possibility for me. So I'd rather create content with this thing that is a little fisheye, you know, has that 360 sports camera look versus not creating any content at all. All right, well, hope you enjoyed that. This will be a single cut, basically. I'll just cut out where I fumbled words. If you liked it, let me know. I'll do more of these. If you hated it, let me know why, but I can have good turnaround on videos like this basically in the same day. So I can shoot this, edit, and upload it all in the same day with these easy tips. Kind of skate along with me, learn a couple things. But it's not gonna be overly detailed. That'll come later, once a month or so. Those take a lot longer for me to do. Just a one-man band, shooting, writing, editing, doing all the overlays on the screen. That's all me. So if I had help, I could probably churn out quite a few more, but I just don't right now, and that's the reality. So if you like this content, let me know. If you don't, let me know. I'm always trying to make stuff that you guys appreciate, enjoy, learn from. That's also somewhat entertaining and not mundane. Not always the easiest thing to do because I'm not a very exciting guy. But anyways, catch you next time.